Good afternoon, and we are 26 days away from the Florida election. And want to start this video off on the right foot. This is about politics. This is not about life or death about this election. Life or death is what's going on for people in the Panhandle, South Georgia, South East Alabama. And if you have the opportunity to give, either of time, money, or blood, please do so. One Blood is asking for blood donations, especially platelets, as much of their stock is being sent up north to help those victims in hospitals. And if you are going to give money or treasure, make sure to give it to a reputable organization. What storms bring out in people is the best, and unfortunately, it does bring out the worst. There are a number of reputable organizations that are out there: Catholic Charities, Red Cross, Red Crescent, Salvation Army, a number of Jewish groups, a number of religious groups that are doing their best in the restoration. And if you have a name of an organization that is doing good work and is going to be helping out the people who are victims here of Hurricane Michael, by all means put that in the comments or on my Facebook page, put it up there, and we'll share that with people. But this is about the politics, about the two Senate candidates and two governor candidates, about the opportunities that they have and or problems that they will face in the aftermath of Hurricane Michael. And again, like and subscribe. And again, this is all about politics. This is not about the people. Okay, it's about life and death. No, it's about politics, about the situations they're going to have problems running over these next 26 days. I'm going to start with the one who has the most worst case scenario on the politics end, and that is Republican gubernatorial candidate Ron DeSantis. Now, Ron DeSantis resigned his congressional seat at the beginning of September, but even if he had not resigned the seat, the storm was not in the path of where he represented. So there is no legitimate reason why he would be on stage with hurricane relief in the area talking to the mass of Florida. With that, Ron has to thread the needle with campaign ads. Now, some of it is absolute bullshit, and I will get into the end about how Democrats are just playing politics with the attacking of Ron DeSantis for having campaign ads that are anti-Andrew Gillum. We'll get into how it affected a friend of mine last year's storm that cost him, I believe, the Senate seat, the state Senate seat. But he has to thread the needle. Depending on how slow or fast the relief is, he can't really put his thumb on the scale, because one, he has a Republican governor, and his opponent is in the wake of this storm. So if it is a Tallahassee-Leon problem, but not a state problem with the recovery, he might be able to get away with some of it with that sort of attack. And by all means, he has every right to put ads about how bad his candidate or his opponent did 2 years ago. But again, that could always backfire if the recovery is much better this time than it was 2 years ago. That looks highly unlikely by the hit that they took. And we'll get to the problems with his opponent here in a little bit. The second worst case scenario is Senator Bill Nelson, who is running for re-election. Now, normally, if this was a normal election year and it wasn't so close to the election, it would be very easy to justify Bill Nelson as the elected state senator being on stage. However, his opponent is the governor, and he will be on stage. They will be together. They will have to be together. But it'll be very difficult for him to look like the bigger man, in that he will look less important. The governor, as governor, will lead every speech. He'll be the one that is quoted. And as we have seen, the day before the storm, it was 10-1 mentions for Rick Scott. On the day of the storm, it went almost to 15-1. Rick Scott's mentions, good, and bad, outweigh good and bad from Bill Nelson. And so Bill Nelson has to figure out a way to campaign And the same with Ron DeSantis. Have to figure out how to campaign and not look like they are taking advantage of the situation as their opponents really can't campaign. Now they can do that, and they can do that successfully, but it's going to be more recovery effort stuff for when they do campaigns down south, and you saw Ron DeSantis do that in Orlando and Jacksonville. It's going to be a lot of fundraising behind the scenes. Because, again, there's only 26 days before this election. Election is here. People are voting now. Absentee ballots, overseas ballots, they're voting today. So you can't let up on the gas. You have to maintain your election, but you can't seem greedy. You can't seem, unless there is a catastrophic event that would show that they shouldn't serve, it's going to be tough to exploit it. With that said, Andrew Gillum needs to have as quick of a recovery for both Tallahassee and Leon County, and has to do it better than he did 2 years ago. Part of the campaign and part of the reasons why his lead has diminished is because 2 years ago, with another hurricane that was only a Category 1, caused really bad outages. And people blame the mayor. They didn't blame the governor, they blamed him. And in the ads, they blame him. And those ads have been running. And that's part of the Democratic cry that, boo-hoo, why is Ron DeSantis running these negative ads in the path of the storm? And again, I'll get to why that's some bullshit. But he's got to figure out a way to be successful this time around. Because if he's not, and if it's Tallahassee that laggards over Mexico Beach and Panama City, which took the brunt of the storm, it's going to look bad. Even though, because they have hills, unlike most of Florida, and they have way more trees than most of Florida, and they haven't really had a direct impact, unlike most of Florida, over the last 25 years, they actually took a lot more damage. But the perception is that he's got to fix it, and he's got to do it quickly. And until he does it, he can't really campaign in Miami. He can't really campaign in Orlando. He can't really campaign in Jacksonville. He can take time and do a debate, but he has to still be there, especially since he has made it, well, I'm in charge. Well, again, most people have pointed out that the mayor of Tallahassee is a glorified mayor. It's a commission setting. It's not first. It's first amongst equals. It's not first mayor and then commission. But he's got to stay around. He sort of played that card. Unfortunately, this is the hand he's being dealt, and he has to get this as quickly done as possible. On the other hand, Rick Scott has the most to gain and has probably gained the most from it, also has the most to lose. He has to redirect stuff to Tallahassee that maybe he shouldn't, because he doesn't want to make Andrew Gillum look bad, because if he tries to make Andrew Gillum look bad or tries to do things in normal course, it'll be perceived as making Andrew Gillum look bad. And the priority goes like this when it comes to recovery. Government offices, medical, schools and universities, senior citizens, right? And then most of the rest of the population. Businesses are in there. Maybe, power companies are going to be a little bit higher on the list. Maybe, sanctuaries and swans, like I'm doing with my hands here, might be a little bit lower. But the priority is going to be government offices, right? Medical facilities, senior centers, universities. And in Tallahassee, if that is the normal course of action, it's going to take a very long time. 98% of Leon County, which is where Tallahassee is without power. He's going to have to redirect more efforts there. At the same time, he's still got to get everything else was in the pathway. And you have other areas with 98% or higher or comparable damage without power. And you have a lot of people who stupidly stay behind. Again, I get staying behind in Category 1, Category 2. I don't get staying behind when you have Category 4 coming at you with wood plank houses, which is what North Florida has, because they don't have the building codes of Miami. And you saw that. And but they're going to blame somebody. They're going to blame the president, or they're going to blame the mayor, or they're going to blame the governor. And he's got to do as quick of a recovery. And again, he can't campaign in Miami. He can't. He can't go to Jacksonville and raise money. He can't go to Orlando. I mean, not that he necessarily needs to raise money, but it's difficult for him to leave because he has to take charge. He has to wear the governor's hat while trying to get the Senate hat. And unlike Andrew Gillum, who at least can have a lieutenant governor candidate who can be out there campaigning, he can't do that. He's running by himself, right? So he needs to put on TV ads. Which gets me to the why Democratic bullshit crying about Ron DeSantis is just that. It's bullshit. So in the path of the storm, the only one who pulled his negative ads was Andrew Gillum. Bill Nelson and his friends did not. Governor Scott and his friends did not. Ron DeSantis did not. And they all had different attacks. Now, Ron DeSantis was directly about the leadership of Andrew Gillum. Rick Scott's was about how Senator Bill Nelson is an empty suit and didn't do enough about algae bloom and red tide. And for Bill Nelson, it's about the governor's alleged corruption as head of HCA and algae tide and red bloom. So they're attack ads, right? Rick Scott also, by the timing, got to have actually ads about how he did hurricane recovery. And some people thought that was kind of an attack ad against Bill Nelson because Bill Nelson's, of course, not in the ad, right? But why this is all BS is Democrats did the same thing in Miami last year in a head-to-head race. My friend, Jose Felix Pepe Diaz, was a state rep trying to run in a vacated Senate seat. And his opponent had never won an elected office, had nothing when it came to elect, had lost 6 races, okay, for everything. You name it, she lost it. There was a storm last year that affected Miami, okay, that some of us lost power. And it was on the eve of the special election. And while Jose Felix Diaz pulled his ads during Irma, Annette Taddeo did not. And Annette Taddeo won by about 4%. And I believe the reason why she won is because even though Jose was actually doing his job as a state senator, or excuse me, as a state rep, which was doing relief efforts in his community, he did not have the airwaves to attack. He did not have, it's a state Senate seat, it's a lot smaller district, did not have the backing of the Republican Party of Miami to do the attack ads, to sort of prop him up a little bit. And I don't think she increased her ads on English and Spanish language, but because she had the ads and because so many people were either without power, couldn't go anywhere for a couple days, they heard a lot about her and a lot about how he was best buddies with Donald Trump. And that became the election. So before the Democrats scream and yell about how Ron DeSantis blew open the doors of campaigning in hurricane zone, you got to look at your state senator down in Florida State Senate District 40 and tell me that wasn't the same. So like and subscribe or hate and comment. But if you can help out those in the Panhandle, do so. And this has been way more than 5 minutes, but you get the gist of it. And we'll see you at the polls.